Everton got off with a 2-2 draw for the start of the new Premiership season, Dave, but the news this morning about the bid for Fellaini and Baines is what's dominating the headlines for the Blues.
Yeah, totally. It's caused a fair degree of dismay and in some quarters anger amongst Evertonians, which is, in my book, wholly understandable. A joint bid has came in last Thursday from the Manchester United Chief Executive Ed Woodward of £28 million for Moyes, Fellaini and Leighton Baines, instantly dismissed by Everton, and it's caused a fair degree of anger amongst people at Everton. Given the fact that Moyes Fellaini was bought for £15 million 5 years ago and has clearly significantly developed since then, given that Leighton Baines is, in most people's books, the preeminent left back in this country at the moment, guy who created more goal scoring opportunities than any other player in Europe last season, to lodge a bid for those two players at 28 million, it grossly undervalues them, and has been perceived in many quarters as being a fairly transparent attempt to unsettle both players. Everton have rejected the bid, as you would imagine, because it doesn't even begin to equate to either player's worth. They don't want to sell either player, and the feeling that such a low bid has come in is an indication that maybe United are trying to unsettle both players. And obviously, given the managers, or the United managers history with Everton, I think a lot of people hoped that United might have behaved a little bit better in this respect, maybe with a little bit more dignity and a bit more class.
Because people have said this is a disrespectful act, really, from a man who was an Everton favourite for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's no suggestion that it's David Moyes personally who's made the bid, but he's the United manager, so clearly he must rubber stamp all the decisions. He will identify the players that he wants to bring in and leave it to other people to make those offers. But it would be naive in the extreme to suggest that he is not aware of how much the club are bidding for those players. He must know the worth of both players. Let's face it was he himself who said that Everton don't sell players cheaply, and got very, very angry with Manchester City for using almost identical tactics to try and prize Joleon Lescott away a few years back. I mean, in that instance, the bid was successful. In this instance, Everton are going to dig their heels in and basically say, neither player is for sale. But there's just a fear that, having had the United's interest in them made public now, that they will be unsettled. No suggestion that is the case. I mean, Leighton Baines has not, said a dicky bird all summer. Moyes Fellaini, has also, indicated, he wants to stay put. But I don't know, you worry, when something like this starts, so close to the other transfer window closing, where it may lead.
And just turning very quickly towards the match at Carrow on Saturday, and it was a 2-2 draw, but a very strong performance from Ross Barkley.
Outstanding performance from Ross Barkley. Yeah, he looks like a player who's come of age. It's been a very, very difficult learning curve for Ross. I mean, people tend to overlook that he had a whole year taken out of his development by a broken leg only a couple of years ago, and as a result his tactical awareness and maybe his game knowledge was a little bit behind. And when he was brought into the first team a couple of years ago, clearly had talent, but clearly wasn't quite tactically ready. He always looked capable of maybe giving a goal away, or a penalty away, as happened at Blackburn, as well as creating things at the other end. But clearly he's learned those lessons. He's matured, he's developed, and on Saturday he looked pretty much like a very, very mature Premier League footballer. His ability is obvious. I mean, the goal on his wrong foot was something else, but that was only the flourish on what was a great performance all round. His strength, his ability to retain possession. I think there's a statistic he only gave away possession like about two occasions in the whole match, both in areas where it didn't really matter. It was a very, very polished performance, and one which augurs very well for the rest of the season.